Okay, we're gonna pick up from where we left off yesterday. The Piskay Teshuvos over here in Siman Reish Nun by this arrow. It's talking about that everything that a person purchases, he should say that he's doing it l'kavod Shabbos. He's doing it in honor of Shabbos, and if he's being involved with the excuse me, with the necessities of Shabbos, whether organizing, whether cleaning the house, whether washing his body, changing his clothing, etc., he should verbally enunciate that he's doing it in honor of Shabbos. And minimally, he should think this in his mind. If he can't verbally articulate that what he is doing is in honor of Shabbos, he should minimally think about this matter. That he's doing it in honor of Shabbos. And through that, the Kedusha of Shabbos will fall. The holiness of Shabbos will go on that item and that endeavor that he's involved with. Similarly, on Yontif, he should say that this is in honor of a Yontif. Similarly, on Shabbos, when a person is eating and drinking and fulfilling other physical pleasures, he should verbalize that he's doing it in honor of Shabbos as well. That's what he should specify. Footnote 24 says, in the bathroom, when you're showering, you should think this. You shouldn't say it because it's prohibited to say such a thing in a bathroom. You shouldn't even mention Shabbos, apparently, even in a bathroom.
Which is interesting because, just the words l'chabed Shabbos, there's nothing per se wrong with those words.
The word Shabbos, apparently, is an issue. We have to take a look at that in Siman Pei Hey. Go back over there to that Siman and see what's going on. Let's continue. Talk about the mitzvah of ta'ameha, tasting. So similar to a person who is preparing a lavish meal for a king of mortal flesh and blood, he's going to make sure that every single dish is absolutely perfect and delicious and isn't lacking any sort of spice or ingredient. And he is showing that it's his will to receive the king with a nice face. The other reasons that are said for this halacha as well, and there are Kabbalistic reasons as well for this mitzvah. The Machzor Vitri, the Mater Motions, in footnote 36, say that a person shouldn't get angry on Shabbos if the food isn't good. A husband shouldn't get upset if his wife didn't make good food. Practical point. Sefer Nefesh Chaya says that based on the Gemara in Sanhedrin on Kuf Aleph, Kol Yemei Ani Yirayim, all the days of a poor person are bad. What do you mean? What about Shabbos and Yontif? So the Gemara answers, Shinoi Ves Techilos Cholim Ayin, that a change in a person's typical habits and cycle and usual order that he conducts himself is what leads to sicknesses. And therefore, people taste on Erev Shabbos to accustom themselves and their body to the Shabbos food. All these people coming back from Florida, it's not a coincidence that statistically they are going to get many more colds than the people who didn't go to Florida. It's because they change from what their body was used to in the temperature. Shmir Shabbos Kelchosim Perik Mem Beis, footnote Reish Lamed Beis relates that you don't want to come to desecrate Shabbos Chos v'Shalom. Kedei shelo yavo lidei chilo Shabbos b'hosafos tavlinim b'Shabbos. If you're going to add more spices on Shabbos, it could be that certain ingredients that you will add will be halachically prohibited to add, and it will be a problem of bishul. You'll be considered cooking. According to this, on Erev Yontif, you should taste from your dishes as well. We don't find that it's brought down as much Erev Yontif, maybe based on the previous idea. That would explain why, because you're allowed to cook on Yontif. But anyways, simple reason is the first, to prepare for the king who is coming along. Next paragraph, he says, nowadays the custom is not to taste from every single dish. And what's the reasoning? We rely on the women nowadays who taste. We know the women nowadays who taste for us. So therefore, since they taste for us, Isha Kagufo, it's considered as if we did as well. That's the idea over here. So they want to make sure that that it's very good, that it's delicious, that the food is delicious. So they pay attention, they focus, they make sure that the food is good. And in order to fulfill the mitzvah of Toameh, of tasting from it, it's enough that they just taste from one dish. It's enough that they taste for one dish. That would be enough. This is talking about the husband, like we already learned. And based on what the Zohar says, the idea of tasting from every single dish that was prepared for Shabbos. However, according to the Zohar, that's referring to on Shabbos itself, not on Erev Shabbos, which is not the simple way that the halacha goes, but it's an interesting opinion to think about that Zohar to factor in. I think we learned it before. This is a good review, anyways, of what we previously learned. Footnote 42. We find that there are different customs by many tzaddikim that would taste from the cholent and the kugel on Shabbos night in order that they will be able to taste from every single dish, specifically Shabbos night. But let's go back to that Zohar for a moment. The Zohar said that the time of tasting is not on the eve of Shabbos. Erev could also mean night, on the night of Shabbos. So according to the Zohar, you should taste from every single item that you're cooking for Shabbos on the night of Shabbos. This perhaps is where the custom came from Bachrim, to eat cholent and kugel at night as well. They're very stringent on this halacha, not just the tzaddikim, but also those bachrim. They get a head start on the cholent. You open it up in the morning, where'd all the meat and potatoes go? But anyways, so that's the idea over here. Now, some aren't sure about this tasting over here because the Suda of the day, the meal that we have on Shabbos day, is halachically more lavish. It's supposed to be qualitatively better than the Suda at night, as we have learned when we learned Hilchos Kiddush already. Several reasons for that. So therefore, if you're going to taste from everything on Shabbos night, yotzos scharecha behefsidecha, at least potentially that your loss is greater than your gain. And the reason for that is because now you're technically making your Sud at night more lavish than during the day, which would be a problem. However, the Sefer Nefesh Chaya quotes the Zohar in Parshas Yisro, who says, Sudoso de leila chomer mimiyamema. General halacha is not that way, but it's noteworthy to point out that the opinion of the Zohar is that the Sud at night is supposed to be more lavish than during the day. General halacha is not that way, but interesting to realize that opinion. Some actually have the text in that Zohar Chamir Kiyamema, which would mean that the Sud at night would have the stringency as during the day, which would mean it would be equivalent but not better. As we already said, the general halacha is not that way. The Sud of the day is supposed to be halachically more lavish than the Sud at night. The bottom paragraph, he says, in order to fulfill this mitzvah, it's enough to taste something, and you don't need the amount of a kazayas. Just merely tasting is okay. You don't need the size of a kazayas, size of an olive. That's fine. But a person should certainly have in mind to get pleasure from that which he's eating as eating it, not just to fix the food. You want to also get pleasure from it. That way that you won't get into a doubt on whether you need to recite a bracha rishona or not. So you don't get into a suffix on the bracha rishona. Excellent point. Footnote 43. The Shilos and Chuvas Imri Kohen quotes the Belzer Rebbe, who was stringent to eat a kazayas when he would taste in order to get out of any potential halachic shaila, and he would also recite a bracha achrona that way. Interesting. Seems like the general halacha is that you don't need a kazayas. Now we're really doing a deep dive on the nitty-gritty technicalities of this halacha. So therefore, this would reinforce what we already learned in the Shilos and Chuvas Nishma Shabbos about it's called Toa Meha for a reason. Te'ima ba'alma. It's merely tasting. It's not eating and having feasting and having a whole meal. It's tasting the food on Erev Shabbos. What about spiritual preparations before Shabbos? We're really primarily talking about physical. What about spiritual? So we saw that the Mishnah Berurah quoted the Sfarim HaKadoshim, who said that a person should think about repentance, think about repenting on the eve of Shabbos, and perform introspection with his deeds on every single Erev Shabbos, because we are going to be greeting the king, and it's incorrect to greet the king when we're dressed with dirty clothing, so to say. This is obviously a metaphor for dirty clothing, spiritual clothing, but the idea is that we are greeting the king, and we have to take this seriously. Comes along the Reishis Chachma and says, "Ukemoshe begashmi misakin umakadesh hamana yafal Shabbos." Just like when it comes to physicalities, so we fix and we sanctify a good portion for Shabbos. so too we should fix our souls as well. Shetishra ale kedusha Shabbos, that the holiness of Shabbos should dwell upon us. Value de hachuva be'erev Shabbos yuchol lekabel bechinos nesham yesira memakom gavoa. And through repentance on the eve of Shabbos, we will be able to receive that extra soul from a high place. Lakabel haShabbos karo bekavod besimchu b'moichin de gadlus, and to accept Shabbos properly in a respectable way and in a joyful manner, and moichin de gadlus, which is a Kabbalistic term.
Yeah,
A
that is.
moyach might mean a brain, godless is greatness. Ukafi and in accordance to how much we anticipate and eagerly await the arrival of Shabbos and prepare for Shabbos during the week, so too, accordance to that, will we feel and bask in the holiness and radius of Shabbos. Next, os, we should remove the spider webs on Shabbos for Kabbalistic reasons. This is not mentioned out of coincidence. There's a lot of depth behind this. The spider and the spider web into klipa kasha, a hard shell, which in Kabbalistic terminology is bad spiritual forces, which is called the shemimis, hanishletes al yidei klipas esav. Spider which rules through the shell of Esav. Spiders apparently have 7 legs, keneged the Zayin Amamin, the 7 Umas ha'olam. Ubein Yeser Nizikeha Goiremis Lakilkul Shalom Bayis. And one of the damages of spiders and webs are that they could cause a destruction of peace and tranquility in the house. Therefore, a person has to be very careful with this on Shabbos. Shabbos stands for Shememis Biadayim Tis Peish. Darchei Chaim V'Shalom writes, when he would see a spider himself, he would kill it.
Wow.
One time he removed his shoe and he killed it. V'amar Edom Eshlechna Alai. Kishahaya Roya. You know, this is something that is fascinating. Really, this requires a deeper dive. You know, we're not going to sit on this because we're just learning halakha. We got to move because it's already part 21 over here. But this is something which would be an interesting shiur to give and to do a deep dive in and prepare for properly. What is the Torah viewpoint of spiders and spider webs? Because I would argue that your average Jew would say, what do you mean? Spiders are a good thing. They saved David HaMelech when he was in the cave.
Huh? Wow.
And David wasn't, David Melech, Melech Yisrael, David. So you don't just, David didn't press on the spider. He didn't kill it. No, it saved him, right? Hence the name David Pressman.
Yeah.
Right. So don't press on it, man. So anyways, so the idea is that what? It
Keep impressing
saved
me.
him. And David before, he was unsure what the purpose of spiders and webs were. And afterwards he realized that they actually serve a purpose and they saved his life. So, all right, this is what to look into now. We learned about this already, and I think it was like Simon Reish Samach or Reish Samach Beis, some over there. If a person forgot to clean the spider web before Shabbos, so it's incorrect to remove it on Shabbos. There's a concern that there's an issue of muksa. Unless it's disturbing the people in the house, which would have the halachic status of a pitcher of excrement, which would be permissible to move on Shabbos. Also, it's prohibited, of course, to kill the actual spider on Shabbos. That would be prohibited according to everyone. Now, the question becomes, Question becomes, if it is a spider which is poisonous. So that would be another discussion, but most spiders are not. Good?
Tarantula. Yeah.
Tarantula, yeah, I just saw one at the Long Island Children's Museum. Those guys are hairy. Whew. They could use a shave or something. Okay, I'm sure there's reasons for there's hair. I never looked into it.
Oh.
Yeah. Footnote 57. The Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa quotes from Shlomo Zalman Auerbach Zatzal, who says, don't say that there's a prohibition of koireya, of tearing, if you remove a spider web. He says it's permissible if it's considered the graph shall write the picture of extra in business, like we already said. And if it's attached to a kli and not to the walls of the house, and you remove it with tiltul min asad in a unnatural way using, end of a broom or something like that, everyone will agree it's permissible. We already learned about this already, the spiderweb business.
And just because you're wearing something, you're wearing a strap on your head.
The Sfarim, they say that you shouldn't get angry on Shabbos, Erev Shabbos. V'ziru b'Sfarim lizar moed olav holy day machlokes v'kedhog v'akpod be'er Shabbos b'Shabbos v'sraching b'ak hakes rachman. Distance yourself as far as you could from getting angry and upset, like the Mishnah Brewer himself mentions in Siman Reish Samach Beis. We already learned about that in Reish Samach Beis. Stay away from the fighting business. Lengthy footnote over here in 59. The Chidah says that an Erev Shabbos is an Eis Musukon. It could be a very dangerous time for machloikes between husband and wife and between servants. Ubein Hamisharsim v'harbe Toreach HaSitra Achshel l'charcher riv. It's a time of an Erev Shabbos, a dangerous time for quarreling, for fighting between spouses, between servants, family members. And the Sitra Achra, that's a bad Kabbalistic force, tries to get people to quarrel at this juncture. V'ayish hayira, and someone who fears Hashem, Yachov Yitzro, he should force his inclination. V'lo ya'oyer shu machloikes v'hakpada v'adra b'yavake shalom. And he should not awaken any sort of machloikes, disagreement, argument. On the contrary, he should seek peace. The Kafachayim, Rabbi Pelagi, he says, I'm going to add on his words, Ani agever ro'oni dechol bayesh hayim machlekes be'er Shabbos v'lo Shabbos hayabaydik menusa. Ki ro nege b'neiim v'lo yotzu nikiyim ba'isa shvu me'izu mikre ra'aduk v'dishlach. Any house that had an argument on Shabbos, go check out what's happening during their week. I guarantee you, says the Kaf HaChaim, that they had an issue during the week as well.
Wow.
Something went wrong, some sort of bad occurrence. And that's why Umargul Bapumi de Chazal, it says in the Gemara in Shabbos on Lamed Daled, Gimel Dvorim Sarach Loimer Erev Shabbos Im Chashecho. There are three things that a person has to say Erev Shabbos. Rashtem, Asartem, Rashtem is Liku Asaner, fine. Sarach Lemeimri Naihu Binechuso. A person needs to say gently. The idea is so that there's no machloikes, chashvas shalom at all. The Sefer Birchas Aaron quotes the Karlina Rebbe, who was mechadish koyach soy, fight koyach soy, no yam shabbos, yeah. Pretty sure it's Karlin. Al yidei hakas v'haketotos ha'metzuyos b'avnosein harabim. Beis ha'chanos l'Shabbos ma'avdim birchos chazal al negets ha'Shabbos shenoisim l'nach labim mitzorim ha'mamelu mishalos libo v'cholo. That if a person's going to get angry and start fighting on Erev Shabbos, Shabbos itself, certainly, so then he's not going to get what the Gemara assures that the borders, the inheritance without borders, and to get all of his requests answered. This is certainly something to think about in a serious manner. Koyach soif noyam Shabbos, yeah. Barely a rabbi maybe divya zor called the chashmishu show me the rosim chihale bishvil Shabbos lo yim karv l'shem atus v'kashbi yish gehenem barely an em lo tvar ways called mosech yom Shabbos call mishu koyitz kilum ma'abekesh gehenem. Comes El Yerab in the first simon Hilchos Shabbos. That simon's on deck for us to learn. We'll see. We might do Purim after this. So he quotes a Zohar over there. And the Zohar says, Ashrei Misha Shoymed Diraso. Praiseworthy is someone who guards his dwelling. Fortunate is someone who guards his dwelling, which is the heart. That what on Shabbos he doesn't get sad and he doesn't get angry, which is considered the fire of Gehenna. And on him, the pasuk says, "Don't burn a fire in all of your house on Shabbos." That's referring to someone who gets angry. It's as if he lit the fire of Gehenna. For sure, during the week, it's prohibited to get angry. It's permissible when it's an external anger, not an internal anger. If he needs to show the anger, he needs to get upset about one of the kids who misbehaved, one of his Talmidim. But on Shabbos, you need to show everyone the happiness of your heart. And the happiness that you have for the Eibishter. How happy you are for Hashem. And if he's not going to show this, so then chas v'shalom, the angels will be removed. Therefore, Shabbos is prohibited, even if it's only a. I don't know why he says gam kishoisulifnim, even when you do it inside. I'm not sure what he means there. Inside, you're never supposed to get angry. And he should be patient and look over his midos. If someone slighted him, he shouldn't get upset, and then peace will be added to him.
The person can get angry and yet not, lash out, but it can still physically show that that he's angry. His facial expressions, that he's still ticked off.
Right. That's the idea. That's what the Sfarim HaKadoshim talk about. When a person needs to get angry, a parent, grandparent, a rebbe, and it needs to show the anger, it's only an external anger, not an internal anger. It's kas chitzoini is what it's called, but internally you shouldn't be angry.
Shouldn't be angry, yeah.
So that's why I'm not sure exactly what he means when he says kisha oisa lifnim. That on Shabbos it's prohibited to get angry also when you do it inside. I'm not sure what he means like that.
Maybe it's people who unfortunately have that tendency.
But
he's talking to people who unfortunately have that tendency. Granted, you're not supposed to have it, but everybody's human.
Right, but why does he say also if you're doing it on the inside? You're never supposed to do it on the inside. The language requires a little more research.
Okay.
The choice of words, that's all I'm saying. Okay, we're really doing a lot today. I wonder if we could finish this whole thing in 10 minutes. We definitely can. Okay, so we have to do this, and then all we want to do next session is there's a beautiful sefer Meir Oz. It's not going to take so much time. It's an excellent sefer. I don't know if you remember it. We've quoted from it a few times in the past. It's a really good sefer. So we're just going to do some hours there, and then I don't think we looked at the Dershi yet, so we're going to do that, and then we're going to start with the review immediately, summary of the Siman, which I think is like 11 pages, and I added certain things in the review that we didn't come across, specifically regarding learning Torah on Erev Shabbos, and in general, some good Musar over there. So we're going to tackle that, wrap the Siman up, and then I think we're already going to start Purim. I don't think it's worth it to do another Siman and Shabbos. It's just going to take too long. Then we're not going to do Purim. I think Purim's the move, and I like it. Make a new playlist, Purim halachos, and I think it will be well received. Yeah. Okay.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Meanwhile, one of the videos I made yesterday got 50 views.
Yesterday? Wow.
Yeah, the one it's titled, "Can a male and female be secluded alone together in a car?" Does the Torah permit a male and a female to be secluded alone together in a car?
Depends on where.
It got 45 views within around 10 hours.
Depends on where.
Popular one.
I gotta listen to this year.
Take a look at Osir Aleph HaKavana.
Hey, can the Rebbe send me this year? Can you send me the link?
What do you mean send the link? Go on and get it. I already emailed. All right, I'll email you the thing. I'll email you. What do you mean go on and get it?
I gotta get the exact link.
All right, I'll email you the exact thing, so it goes right there. Okay, crybaby.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Hakavana sheyikva sudaso. I'll send you the links for all of them. I put another very good one up. What does the Torah say about buying an expensive car?
Ooh.
That's fire. And I put in the description under the video all my notes that I have and all the sources. And yeah, I figured out how at the end of the video now you click on other shiurim, you could click on it, and I'm getting good at this. I'm getting good.
And what's considered expensive?
Oh, yeah, I discussed that. That was the beginning. The beginning was the
Sure.
least Torah relevant part, but it was still important. Leasing versus buying a little. All right. Hakavana sheyikva sudaso al yayin. The idea over here is that the Shulchan Aruch says yarbe b'basar v'yayin. What does that mean? You should have a lot of basar and yayin on Shabbos. So the intention of that means establish your meal on wine. On wine. This means Zulos kois hakidush levnei asuda yishtagam yain b'soich asuda. This is actually subject to a machlokes. He's saying that besides for the kos of the kiddush that you had before the suda, you should drink yayin in your suda as well, during your suda. Now, if we just backtrack a little, we saw of Hartford says that no, if you drank wine before your suda and then you immediately have your suda, it's ki'ilu, it's considered as if halachically you had the wine during this. That's, I think, what he's going to say in the next line. There's a fundamental halachic distinction between Shabbos and Yontif regarding is there a halachic obligation of rejoicing, of being in a state of happiness. And that is on Yontif, on Shabbos, there's a major discussion if this is required or not. Yontif, it seems like it's required more. So, which would have a direct impact on the halacha of drinking the wine. Now, gets a Shabbos, rather the main intention in order to honor and in order to have pleasure on Shabbos is is through meat and wine. So therefore, this is specifically referring to in places where this is the this is the customary practice. In other words, if it's not normal to drink wine during a Suda, then you don't need to, even at a fancy meal. Then you don't need to. I don't really know what people do at fancy meals because I don't go to so many often. I feel like very fancy meals where people acquire a taste for wine, then they have real wine there. I know, I feel like a lot of people also have like mixed drinks, but I don't really know.
I think a lot of people have.
You
I think a
know,
lot of people have wine. A lot of people have wine.
a lot of people have wine.
I think so.
I
Yeah,
feel like if you have like a bunch of like older people,
they have wine.
you know, they've all got, you know, net worth of 10 million plus, they're multimillionaires in their pocket. I feel like most of those people, when they're dining fine, they're having expensive wine, right? But they acquire the taste for it. What about these young kids though? You know, in the 20s, 30s, I don't know, maybe mixed drinks. So spice it up. Whatever you enjoy, do it on Shabbos. All right. If for nowadays, he says that that most people that they don't establish their sudan on wine, they don't have the wine with their meal. They drink other beverages. You're not obligated to drink wine during the suda. You have to drink other drinks which are dear to you. And healthy. That's why there wouldn't be an obligation to have actual meat, because many people, chicken's fine. If for and even though there would be a mitzvah for someone who gets pleasure from that, from meat and wine more than other dishes, because of the karasel Shabbos oinig. It's more of a pleasure with more that you have, but it would not be an obligation. This just reinforces and reiterates what we already learned about the basar, but he just says it in with less detail than what we saw in the Nishma Shabbos Teshuvos. Anyways, all right, so we're gonna pick it up from the Mayor O's tomorrow, and this is I just want to say what this is very quickly. This is actually gonna talk about specific food items that we eat on Shabbos: chicken soup, cholent, kugel, fish. Where do these come from? Why did these become popular foods? Kugels. So he's gonna go into the specifics. I remember this, even though I learned it a while ago. So that's what we will resume with tomorrow. Mitzvah Hashem. Everyone should have a wonderful day.
All right, see you tomorrow in the White Shul. Sorry about that.
All right, David, I'm gonna send you the whole playlist. Okay.
No, just the one, that one, the
Yichud.
yeah, you could, and
All right.
let's see, the one, no, expensive car maybe.
You should watch all of them. Just click on the playlist thing. They're all very gishmak.
All right.
All right. Well prepared.
nice day.
Gishmak stuff.